We just received a massive injury update regarding Washington Wizards rookie Tre Johnson, as he is going to be out for an indefinite amount of time. We don't know when his timetable to return from this injury will be, as he has a left hip flexor strain. And as we know, with some past injuries that have happened in the NBA so far, strains are they're nothing to joke about. You got to be careful with them because it might sound like a minor injury, but if you try to play through it, it can easily turn into a major injury, as we saw in the NBA playoffs and also seeing during this season as well. So we know Tre Johnson is going to be out for an unknown amount of time. It also explains his drop in minutes a little bit, but what does this actually mean regarding Tre Johnson? What's going to happen for the Wizards the rest of the season? What exactly does this entail for the future for the next few weeks? I'm Bryson Akins. Welcome to Wizards Digest, a podcast or show talking about the Washington Wizards, trying to give you guys daily updates and info and news regarding this team as they're in the middle of a tanking and rebuilding season. If you don't know who I am, I'm a writer for Wizards on SI, a credential media member inside, giving you guys, everything that I know about the team, inside info, knowledge, access, everything that I can. Just give you guys these daily 10-minute updates with everything going on with the team. So if you guys want to keep up with arguably the worst team in the NBA right now, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification. Let's try to get this channel to 1,000 subs as fast as possible. With that out of the way, let's go ahead, get into talking about the action today regarding Tre Johnson. And it does suck with this news, as we now know. All right, he sustained this left hip flexor strain against the Toronto Raptors on November 21st. His status will be updated as appropriate, but the thing with this injury is the fact that it's a lingering injury. If you don't know, he suffered this back when he was playing for Texas, all right? When he was with the Texas Longhorns his freshman year and his only year in college. That's when this injury first started to appear and happen on a regular basis. That's when it happened. Now it's kind of a lingering thing. It explains for why he didn't play as much in Summer League as some fans want him to, why he was on a minutes restriction during Summer League and preseason, why he was on a minutes restriction lately, as this has been something that he's been dealing with the past few days, all right, past few games. It's not something that, it just happened. It is a direct correlation to, okay, the past 4 or 5 games, he wasn't getting anything over 20 minutes a night. I think the last game he played, he only got around 15 or 14 minutes. Why is that? He's one of your best players. He's a young guy. He's supposed to be part of your core for the future. Why is he not playing? Well, this left hip flexor strain is, the reason why he wasn't playing as much. He had some lingering, pain in that hip. He tried playing through it. They determined he had a strain. They're going to rest him for an unknown amount of time, and that's that. But we know a little bit of the timetable for when he could return, thanks to these two pieces of information that we have right here. San Antonio Spurs guard Stephon Castle, he has a left hip flexor strain and will be reevaluated in 1 to 2 weeks, sources tell ESPN. Castle has been one of the league's breakout players in his second season, blah, blah, blah. We don't really care about his stats. We care about the Wizards stats, all right? Well, this is how you know, okay, if he has a left hip flexor strain, same injury as Tre Johnson, he's going to be reevaluated in 1 to 2 weeks. Okay, great. You might think that means he's going to be back in 2 weeks at the maximum. No, it's just a reevaluation for Stephon Castle for this. That means, it's reevaluation. It could have gotten worse and he might need surgery, all right? It could have gotten better and he's returned to play. But really what this means is, okay, we're going to see you in 2 weeks, see what you can do now, and then we'll make a timetable for your return after that. So really, it's like a 4-week injury when you look at it. That's like the average thing, 4 weeks, all right? So Tre Johnson, you can expect him to be reevaluated in 2 to 4 weeks, and potentially he's out for 5 to 6, which puts him coming back after Christmas. I know it sucks. He's only missed 1 game before this, I believe. So it shouldn't, it's going to be very close for him affecting his all rookie team nods, if he's still going to be eligible for that award, as he was putting up a decent season. But this is one of these things where the Wizards, they have to take it seriously. You can't risk anything with this, all right? As like I said earlier, strains, this is what I wrote in the recent piece on Wizards on SI. I'll include a link to that in the description as well if you guys want to check that out, where I go in a little bit more in depth if you guys want to read that. Strains should be taken seriously. Some players who have dealt with strains to specific parts of the body and play through them are now sitting out with significant injuries. This was evident during the playoffs when Jason Tatum and Tyrese Halliburton suffered calf strains only to tear their Achilles tendons while trying to play through them. In the midst of a rebuild and Johnson looking to be a key piece of this future core, the front office and coaching staff do not want him to turn his minor injury into a major one. So, like I said, this is the big thing, all right? You need to be careful with him because you took him 6th overall. And he's still a good player. He's one of the best players from this draft. When you look at it, he just hasn't gotten a lot of time, a lot of opportunity. He hasn't really started with this team whatsoever, even though he should have been starting from the get-go, in my opinion. But it's one of those things you look at it like, man, you really don't want this to turn into a lingering thing. You want it to heal up as quick as possible, and you don't want him playing through it, and then it turns into something major where he has to sit out the entirety of the season or for like 3 months. You don't want that to happen whatsoever. So I have full faith that this front office and the coaching staff and training staff, all right, are going to take their time with Johnson, have him sit 2 to 4 weeks at the minimum, reevaluate him in that 3 to 4 week time frame. If he's good to go after 4 weeks, he'll go out there. But I really expect him to be out for like 5 weeks. That's what I expect. Him to be out 5 weeks. They're going to take it, very carefully. They're going to be easy with him. They're going to make sure he heals up, doesn't strain anything else, doesn't make it, the injury worse than how it already is, because they need him to be healthy for this future. Because in 5 weeks, that's when we could potentially see a trade with one of these veterans, as trades are going to heat up around, that December, Christmas time. That's when trades really start to heat up and you hear more trade talk. But that's when he's potentially going to be back, could potentially be starting as well. And he's a good player. When you look at the stats that he's been putting up this season, it's not bad. He's averaging 24 minutes a game, and in those 24 minutes, he's averaging 11.5 points, 3 rebounds, 1.5 assists. He's not doing much defensively because he's like, how I view him is, offensively, he's like a Klay Thompson kind of player, how I view him. Okay, he's a catch and shoot guy. He's a great 3-point shooter. Can he create off the dribble? Yes, 100% he can create off the dribble. Okay, but that's not where he thrives. He thrives in catch and shoot situations, coming off of off-ball screens, coming off of dribble handoffs, that sort of stuff. He's great at the catch and shoot, okay? He's shooting 44% from the field, 39% from 3-point, almost at 40% right there. He's still super young, like we said, 19 years old. He was one of the youngest players in the draft, if I'm not mistaken. But, his 3-point shot is clearly his best shot. He's shooting 31% on corner threes, 83% of his threes are assisted, and then over half of his shots are 3-pointers. That's what he's doing. He shoots really well in transition. If you guys have been watching and keeping up with him, he is a great transition 3-point shooter, and that is something this Wizards team is really going to miss with him being out, is transition threes. Corey Kispert had a great night against the Chicago Bulls, really coming out game for the season, as a lot of people want him traded. I'm telling you right now, Corey Kispert is not being traded for the foreseeable future. I will go ahead and tell you guys that right now. He is a key part of this team for years and years to come. Veteran presence, cheap contract, and he's a good role player as well. When he gets that time to start and really, showcase his skill set a little bit, he drops, what he had. I know he had over 20 points. I don't know if he got to 30 in that game against the Bulls, but I know he put up a great night against the Bulls when he got that start. That's the kind of player you get in Kispert. And then it's also kind of the similar situation you get in Tre Johnson. I see a lot of similarities. I think Tre Johnson has, much more potential than Corey Kispert coming into the league. But, skill sets are kind of similar. I just think Tre Johnson, because of his athleticism and how young he is coming in, he has more potential to be a better player overall than Corey Kispert when it's all said and done. I know that's not like a huge bar, but, Tre Johnson is a guy that's, like a fringe all-star kind of player throughout the entirety of his career that I kind of see. Kind of see that in CJ McCollum. He was a fringe all-star kind of player throughout his entire career. But like I said, I see something very similar in Tre Johnson in his game, where he's a fringe all-star. He'll get a few nods here and there because of injuries happening throughout the season. But I see him as like a 20-point per game scorer throughout his entirety of his career because of his 3-point shot. It's that good, and that's what the Wizards are really going to miss with him. Now you got to, find people that are going to get more minutes in his place. Do you go, do you give Bub Carrington extra minutes now, see what he can do and increase minutes? Do you even start him a little bit, as there are more players on this team going through injuries? Does Cam Whitmore get more minutes? Does Corey Kispert get more minutes? Who's going to get these minutes here? Maybe you bring up some two-way guys and see what they can do. Jameer Watkins has finally started getting some run. Maybe he gets minutes in this time that, Tre Johnson's going to be out. Maybe Will Riley. We don't really know, but this is the perfect time for these other young players to showcase, if they're on two-way contracts, why they deserve a standard deal. And if they are, these guys in their second, third year, where, talks, like with the draft coming up, could potentially draft someone in their position group that moves them to the bench full time. This is the time for them to showcase, like, look, instead of, like Bub Carrington, instead of drafting Darren Peterson, take Cam Boozer, and I'm your starting point guard. This is the perfect situation for him. So this Tre Johnson injury does affect the entirety of the team, not just Johnson. They need to be careful with them, but in this time, you got to give these minutes to someone else to get some run here and see what they can do. That's all I got in this video. Let me know what you guys personally think about this Tre Johnson injury and who's going to get his minutes while he is absent. I'll see you guys in the next one.